All right, so
Thank you.
before we get to all of that conversation, I understand that we're joined now by a senior advocate of Nigeria and respected constitutional lawyer, Chino Obiagwu. He joins us via Zoom. Good to have you join us.
Yes, good afternoon, and thank you for having me.
All right, so let me bring you into the conversation and also just get your perspective as to where we are. We were just talking about the statement made by the president that we have not strayed too far from the lofty dreams of our forebears, that if you share that sentiment as well, and just your thought on where we are as a nation.
Well, I think we have, over the years, the last 65 years, strayed too far away from the ideals of the forefathers. Not just of the forefathers, but of Nigerians who were here in 1960. The enthusiasm of political independence was that there also going to be an economic dependence. But we are, miles away from that. We have actually strayed away from that. And there are so many reasons why that happened. Um, no thanks to the long military rule that entrenched corruption. The basics is corruption. When people take away the wealth of the nation to their private pockets and nothing happens. When people commit crimes, economic crimes, financial crimes, political corruption, rig elections, manipulate the system, and they are not punished. So not just the political recklessness of corruption, but also the judicial recklessness of not bringing people to justice. So the country drifts into anarchy, into lawlessness, into violence. Because, that was not the dream of the founding fathers. That was not the dream of Nigerians in 1960. The dream of Nigeria is that Nigeria is going to be an El Dorado with oil, with granules, with palm oil, with cocoa. So where have all those continents gone? Where are the granite pyramids? Where are the cocoa farms? Where are the palm oil plantations? These are the questions Nigerians should ask. And it is not just one government. It is also a series of governments. It's a history. Our political class should answer the question, because they have failed Nigerians. And you can't develop economy if you don't have energy. Whereas electricity, 65 years, we're only producing less than 10,000 megawatts for 250 million people. It doesn't gel. So I think we have really not kept faith with the dreams of our forefathers. And I thank you that you are interrogating that this afternoon.
And what would you say have tested us the most as a nation? The president did talk about how our independence has been tested. Some people have talked about you mentioned corruption, you also mentioned the coup. Some people say, look, the coup of 90, is that what, I think 1966 is the one that really tested us. Others say it is the civil war. I just want to get your opinion on how, what really tested us the most as a nation that got us to where we are today.
Well, if you look at Nigerian political history, it was the military intervention in governance, because that created ethnic politics. That created tribalism, that created, in 1960, 1963, people from Eastern Nigeria were winning elections in the Western Nigeria. People from Western Nigeria were winning elections in the Northern Nigeria, in the Middle Belt. So military incursion in politics in 1966 created, ethnic politics. And ethnic politics came with enclavages. And once you have political enclavages, people started to grab. Yes, then what we call national cake. So everybody wants to go and grab national cake. And that was the beginning of the problem. So once people get into political office, they're there to take the part of their national cake, because it becomes, subnational interests became superior over national interests. So Nigeria as an identity was no longer as strong emotions for people of Nigeria. So you only feel Nigerianness when we're playing football or when you're outside Nigeria. Otherwise, people identify themselves as their tribe first before the country. And that's why I commend President Tinubu for bringing back the national anthem, the old national anthem, because if you listen to that old national anthem, it's really restated Nigerianness as an identity. So any people that loses their identity, that's the beginning of the problem. So that when people steal public funds, we call it corruption. We don't really call it stealing. We don't really look at them as they stole. In traditional African society, when people steal, they are banished. So we don't really think it's bad, and people from their locality, from their tribe, justify it. Oh, well, it is our turn, and he stole. So and so what? So if you check the money that has been lost in this country in the last 65 years through corruption, it runs into trillions and trillions of naira. That can build us railway, that can build us good schools, that can bring water, pure water. I mean, clean water to every neighborhood. That would have helped us to generate at least 60,000 kilowatts of electricity, which is what is needed to power the entire Nigeria and give our industries energy. So when these are not happening, what do you get? Abject poverty. Industries are closing down, like my colleague in the studio said, and there's no petrol. I mean, there's no refinery. We have to import fuel, and once you import fuel and the cost of energy is high, then the cost of living will be high. People will suffer. So I don't really. I think the government should have removed the subsidy without first fixing the refinery. Dangote refinery is not a solution to the problem because it is a profit-making entity. Government refineries should be able to lower the prices and so on.